Hello everyone. It is a pleasure to be here in front of you today to be able to share British Horse Racing's new social impact strategy. I guess so far today we've been really hearing about that bigger picture about how the sport can grow from a product perspective, from a content perspective. We're going to zoom in now a bit and think about how impact and community engagement and education can be drivers of a sustainable future for our sport. I'd like to start by thanking many of you in the room for your contributions in helping to develop this strategy, from showing me the work that you are doing now to have a positive impact, as well as sharing the challenges that you face, the frustrations that you might have, the opportunities that you see and the ideas that are there. That has all helped to shape this piece of work. I'd also like to thank the Racing Foundation, Godolphin and Racing Post for helping to make this work possible as well. Now, I thought the best place to start today would be why. Why do we need a social impact strategy? And the starting point for me is around impact, because in my belief, we have a real opportunity as a sport to have an even greater impact than we are already. But we also have potential that is untapped to tell a far more credible and compelling story about the impact that we have as a sport. If we can have a greater impact and tell that more credible story about the impact that we're having, then we're going to be able to build our reputation and enhance our relevance as a sport with key audiences, whether they be our local communities, whether they are local or national political stakeholders, or whether they are the focus of today, young people. Now, if we can have more impact, tell a story about impact, build that reputation, enhance our relevance, we're going to deliver far greater return on investment to those who are funding this work. And that's important because there are increasing pressures on and demands on the funding that is available for this work. We're also going to increase our potential to bring in investment and funding from outside of the sport, whether that be from a commercial or charitable source. Taking that further still, we'll be able to show the sport how the work that we all do is contributing to the industry strategy framework and helping to drive a sustainable future for our sport. And that is a cycle that will hopefully continue to help us build a sustainable future. So if that is why, what is the approach that we're going to take to this? We have, as we can see from the delegate list today, a wide range of stakeholders working in the sport. So it's really about being focused with some of the central activity that we're delivering as a sport and where that central funding is going to deliver the strategy that we're setting out. Then being really clear about the role that different stakeholders within the sport are already playing within making some of that a success, but also can play in making that a success. National Racehorse Week is a focus of this afternoon. A lot of stakeholders are playing a part in making that campaign a success. We are very fortunate to have a lot of stakeholders who want to go above and beyond that. So what's really key then as well is trying to support those stakeholders to help us accelerate the work that we're trying to achieve in this strategy. Lastly, and really, really importantly, is a recognition that racing exists in a vast number of communities across the UK, and those communities will all vary greatly. And it is the local racing stakeholders within those communities who are going to be best placed to meet some of that local need as well. So there's a balance between what we are centrally trying to drive forward as a sport and that local community work that is happening and has happened for so many years within the sport as well. Now, in developing the strategy, there are a number of strategic shifts that became clear that we needed to make as a sport if we were going to deliver on this piece of work. Now, very small font, so not everyone's going to be able to read those as they're drafted, but if you can, some of you will be looking at them thinking, we're doing pretty well on that, we're in good shape. Some of you will look at that and think, it's a bit of room for improvement with where your organisation sits. But I think what's really important is that we are clear on where we are trying to get to as a sport, and that we are supportive and collaborative in helping each other get there as a sport. I wanted to draw out two of those strategic shifts in particular today. The first is around repeat engagement. So if we only engage with someone once, our ability to have a positive impact on their life is going to be significantly limited. Stands to reason, and there are many number of activities, programs happening within the sport that prove that point, that we need to engage more than once. And we are having a significant impact with some of those activities that are doing that already. Now, I experienced this shift happening within Olympic and Paralympic sport. On the back of London 2012, there was a very clear mandate: get athletes into schools with their medals in their tracksuits, and you will inspire young people to be active. We knew from the work that Sport England, charities like Youth Sport Trust had done, that wasn't really going to work. You couldn't just drop an athlete into a school and inspire 30 young people to be active for the rest of their lives. But that was the directive, and all resource was focused on telling the athletes they had to do that and counting what they did. I think in 1 year we had 7,000 visits into schools by athletes. Assuming a class size of 30, that's over 200,000 young people reached in that year. However inspirational that athlete was, however many medals they had around their neck, however shiny their tracksuit might have been, we knew we were setting them up to fail. So we spent as much of the time that we had left trying to prove that that wasn't enough. And by 2016, we'd secured £1 million worth of investment to build that model that not only would take athletes into schools and create that inspiration that Stu talked about, but connect that into the local sporting ecosystem. So it wasn't just a case of one inspirational visit, but it extended out to what was available in that local community as well. The other strategic shift that I'd like to touch on is impact measurement. Measuring impact is generally perceived to be quite difficult. It can often take quite a long time to do because you're looking at change and how something has changed over time. What's most important in measuring impact is actually being clear at the start what impact you're trying to have. And I think if we can do that as a sport and be more confident in direct and clear in the impact that we're trying to have from the different activities that we do, it's going to be far easier for us to measure the impact that we have. And we've got some initiatives already underway where we're trying to embed that and help us understand and build a model that we can share around impact measurement as well. So if that is why we've got a strategy, the approach we're going to take, and some of the shifts we want to deliver through this work, what is the strategy? So we have set ourselves 4 high-level goals within the strategy that are essentially the primary areas where we as a sport can or already do have a positive impact on individuals and communities across Britain. The first of these is particularly relevant to the conversation that we're having today. It's around the power of opportunity for young people and the opportunities there are for young people to be part of our sport. That is not just as a fan, it's not just as an employee, it's the ability that our sport has to develop people and help them build confidence and skills. And the panel that we have coming on stage shortly will hopefully bring to life a lot of the positive impact that we are already having as a sport on young people's lives. The second goal is around the power of the racehorse. And this is very much an acknowledgement and celebration and about understanding the positive impact that the likes of Heroes and Greatwood are having in using ex-racehorses as part of their interventions to transform young people's lives. We are incredibly fortunate as a sport to have charities in our sport doing work like that. The third goal is around the power of racing and our ability as a sport to bring people together, whether that's on a race day, events at a racecourse on a non-race day, things like syndicate ownership, things like National Racehorse Week and events at training yards and breeding operations. That, for me, is an untapped potential that we can harness and direct towards specific issues as a sport. And we're actually doing some work, the BHA alongside Racing Together, with 6 different race courses, working with local charities in those communities to try and address loneliness as a pilot to explore how we can work differently in harnessing that power that we have to bring people together to have a positive impact. The last goal then is around the power of community and really an acknowledgement that many racing stakeholders are already assets within their local community, and the importance of continuing to be assets within our local community and also helping those who perhaps aren't at the moment to become assets within their local community as well. So if that's that kind of high-level picture around the impact that we want to have as a sport, what are we actually trying to achieve in the strategy? So we have set ourselves 5 objectives through to 2028 that is, I guess, specifically what we're trying to move forwards over the next few years. Firstly, is about understanding our value to society. We've kicked off some work in the past couple of weeks around this on social value and really trying to quantify the social value of horse racing within society. It's something a lot of other sports have been able to do, and it's really enhanced their ability to tell a story around the impact that they're having within communities. The next objective is around providing a clear, engaging, and impactful pathway for young people to engage with our sport. And to touch on Rob's comment earlier, that isn't a pathway to create the next Frankie Dettori or Ryan Moore. That is a more fluid pathway to encourage continued engagement with our sport for young people and ensuring that when they engage with our sport, they're informed and clear about what the next opportunity might be for them to engage again. The third goal is around how we work in this area and is really about exploring different ways of working more collaboratively to have a positive impact. And that is where the work around loneliness will hopefully help improve our understanding around that. The fourth objective then is very much around the role of stakeholders within all of this. Is everyone clear on the role that they are already playing in contributing to this work or can play should they wish to play a greater role in this? And then lastly, around funding and ensuring that the work that we all do is sustainably funded and that our funding is prioritised to where it can have the greatest impact. So if they're the objectives that we've set ourselves, what are we actually going to do? I won't go through the action plan that we've put in, but I will encourage you to have a look at the strategy document that we sent to all of you by the Racing Foundation, published on the BHA website later today. But I will talk about the first priority that we have set ourselves, one of 3 priorities, and that is about establishing the young people pathway. What does that actually mean? Well, we deliver a lot of activity to engage young people within our sports, but a lot of it exists in isolation and isn't sufficiently connected with relevant other activities. So what we've already started to do is really try and understand all of that work that we're doing. How can it or should it connect with one another to form that pathway, which allows us to consider where the gaps might be in our provision, looking at kind of the different demographics and needs and perceptions that different age groups might have, as Stu outlined. Where are we serving? Where are there gaps? Where are we duplicating our efforts? And we've already identified one gap in this around signposting, the fact that we do a lot of things, but we don't clearly and consistently tell people how they can engage with something else within our sport. You might come to a family day at York and then have to wait for the next family day at York without being told about all the other opportunities that there might be. We also want to look at the value that we are driving from a lot of that existing activity as well. And a good example of that will be the conversation we have this afternoon around National Racehorse Week. How can we use that campaign that so many stakeholders within the sport are contributing to attract more young people into the sport? But how can we also ensure that on the back of that positive experience that they have, they're engaging with the sport again and they know what those opportunities are to engage with the sport again? Because it's only if they're engaging again that we're going to increase our ability to have a positive impact on their lives. Lastly then, it's looking at how we can be clear on the impact that we want to have on young people. And I can stand here and talk to you about the importance of opportunities for young people, the fact that 1 in 3 young people at secondary school have little to no confidence in their own abilities, that there are an increasing number of 18-year-olds not in education, employment or training. But the panel that will come up will do far more justice in sharing the value that we are already providing to young people as a sport, and really bring that to life. No pressure. Before I pass on to Rishi to host that panel, I have an ask of all of you. It would be great to... clicker's not working. It'd be great if you could go away and really take a look at the strategy, and in particular have a look at the strategic shifts that we've outlined. These are the ways that we want to evolve our practice in this area so that we can have a greater impact, and think about what that means for you, what that means for you as an organisation. And it'd be great to hear reflections about whether people feel that they are actually doing this really well, and how can we help others learn from that good practice. Equally, if there are people that feel like there's room to grow, let's have that conversation about what those next steps might look like. So I'd really encourage you to reflect on that, and it would be great if you could keep in touch or stay in touch with me around the progress that you're making in this area. It'd be great to hear about the work that you are doing, that you're planning to do in this space, as well as any ideas and challenges that you're facing as well. I am now going to introduce a video of projects that have been supported by the Racing Foundation that really try to bring this to life from the people. So thank you very much for your time today. I'm around all day if anyone wants to have a conversation. But yeah, this is, I guess, from the perspective of a young person, how racing can positively impact their lives. So thank you.
My life without riding a dream. Probably excluded from school. At home, I think I would have still been with the horses, but not, you know, I just had such a passion for being in racing, and riding a dream made racing a reality for me and opened so many doors for me to work in racing and experience some of the things I have already and be able to do the Magnolia Cup this year. All you have to do is look at the success that's already come out of riding a dream that proves that, you know, it's changing lives, and it's definitely what racing needed, in a sense, for people like me and people like Amila, who did the Magnolia Cup last year, to be able to go on and do these things and get these opportunities. So it definitely is very important, and, you know, my life wouldn't be the way it is now without the funding and all of the children and teenagers that are coming through the academy now. It's changing lives.
I don't think anyone will fully appreciate like the difference and the positive impact that they've had on Sienna's life. Like what they've done for her, Riding a Dream and the foundation and everything, it's been literally life-changing. And there is no way that where she is now, I could have made possible. I'm a single parent. There is no way I could have made it happen. So I don't think they quite comprehend like what they've done for her and what it means, firstly to Sienna, but just to us as a family. Like, it means everything.
So the SRA's given me a lot of confidence to get a good job here and go down south through the summer to Newmarket and work down there for a bit.
So the SRA have really helped me with my organisational skills, with making sure everything's done to time, and also communication skills, because sometimes I like to talk a little bit too much, but they've managed to help me say what I want to say.
My favourite memory was definitely going to Ascot for my pony race. That was a very big deal. And I also enjoyed just riding those ponies. Like, they're just incredible animals. It just like really opened my eyes, like how fun racing could actually be. I like to be active, like I like doing stuff, and I think this is just the perfect job for me. Generally, without pony racing, I definitely wouldn't have picked a job in racing.
before I came Heroes. I've got social anxiety. It's like a big group of people I don't like. You have more freedom to do stuff around here and walk about and get out. So coming Heroes kind of gave you like a structure or something to work through for the day.